we go. All right, so I'm Jill. I'm the co-founder of the Energy Accelerator program, where we are a nationwide technology accelerator that's located right here in Honolulu. We are really focused on deploying a unique public-private model to impact the commercialization of clean energy within the Asia-Pacific region. And our program is funded by DoD. We actually have an Office of Naval Research grant for $30 million. That's a 5-year grant, so it's about $6 million a year that we pass through primarily to our companies to really support the demonstration projects and help them commercialize their technologies. There we go. All right, so energy has been identified as a key strategic weakness within the military. The Secretary of the Navy has mandated that by the year 2020, half of their total energy must come from alternative sources. And there's very similar aggressive goals in existence across the DoD. So in order to impact a total energy bill of almost $19 billion a year, DoD is going to need to have access to a really wide range of readily available solutions. And the solutions are going to need to be developed very quickly across a number of sectors. Considering the sheer number of innovative technologies that'll be needed, they are going to have to come at relatively little cost to the military and within a really quick time frame. I mean, the 2020 goal is really a very short 5 years away from now. So in order to drive these clean energy technologies to market, it requires both leveraging both public and private funding in order to create these commercial products. So this is where the Energy Accelerator comes in. So the military supports and purchases technologies from the commercial marketplace all the time. So you can take the iPhone as an example. DARPA funded the internet as well as Siri. The military's Navistar program funded the GPS. Even the touchscreen display was funded by NSA and NSF dollars to the University of Delaware researchers. So these individual components were all funded with federal dollars, but how were they effectively integrated into a device that costs only a few $100s? So this is where the private sector comes in. So thanks to Apple, everybody, which includes everybody in the military, now has access to all of this really cool technology that's, sorry. Uh-oh. See if I can get back to that slide again. But all this really cool technology via device that costs only a few $100s and is in the pockets of 25% of the population today. So that's really neat. This is how an effective public-private partnership can work, taking these really highly innovative government-funded technologies and creating products that'll drive the technology to mass commercialization. So when the products are commercialized on a really large scale, that's when the costs are driven down and they're available to the military at this really much reduced price. So what's the process to get technology to commercialization? Technologies in early TRL are commonly funded by public dollars. As they move along the TRL scale, private funding steps in, and this is typically through venture dollars or customer partnerships, and then the next step would be revenues as the technology starts demonstrating value in the marketplace. So oftentimes there's a significant gap between these two sources of funding, and so this is where the Energy Accelerator comes in. So I'm going to give you a brief picture here of our portfolio of companies. We're currently funding 32 companies. Technologies are in a range of areas. So we focus a lot on integration challenges and efficiency, as you can see here. We've also done a bit in innovative business models around financing. Last year we had a focus on transportation, so we really expanded our transportation cohort. And we also look at agriculture and water. So to let you know also, there's a couple of our companies here that you'll see presenting right after me. There's Spider9 and Bright Light Systems, who will be talking a little bit about what they're doing next. But what I'd like to do is dig into an example of one of our companies so you can see a little bit more of what I'm talking about. So Souter Viva is an agriculture company that deploys on underproductive ag land. They have a tree called Pangamia, which produces an oil seed that's 3 to 4 times more productive than palm oil. And the residue of the production of this oil can be used as cattle feed. So this is a really interesting biofuel and feed solution. So Souter Viva developed their technology with grant funding, and then followed by partner funding. And they're right in the middle of the spot where the Energy Accelerator program can really provide significant value. So they've already deployed in a few states, and what we're doing with them is funding a project in Hawaii that's on just a few hundred acres to demonstrate their unique biofuel and feed solution within our local ecosystem. So this is a picture of their project on the North Shore. You can see the trees look really small. I think this picture was taken about 6 months ago, and the trees were just recently planted. And believe it or not, within 2 years, the trees are going to be 20 feet tall and already producing oilseed pods. So Souter Viva has 5 partners on the project, and with the private funding and strategic partnerships that they've developed, they're now on a path forward to not only expand their project, but also to continue raising funding as they de-risk the technology. So for this plot of land that you see here in the picture, it belongs to Kamehameha Schools, which is a project partner of theirs. There's actually 10,000 contiguous acres of land right next to this plot that could be available to them in the future. So this is a really great path forward for them. I'll just run through a few of our results of our program. So 25% of our companies are partnering with the military. And we think that this is a really interesting statistic because we actually don't operate under any type of mandate from ONR for the types of technologies that we select or to work with DoD. So it's quite interesting to see that there's this strong tie already, and that 75% of our companies, their technology is applicable to the military, to what DoD is trying to achieve at this time. So we could actually use these solutions with DoD for a large number of our companies. So this is really great to see this tie-in between the two. So it shows that what we're doing is just highly applicable, even though we don't specifically target this in our selection for companies. So we also have a STEM program, and we focus on workforce development. So we've funded, with our federal funding, we funded 16 fellows that are both in our companies directly, as well as a couple that have worked within our program. And this has been a really successful effort for us. I think that 4 of them have received job offers from the companies that they worked for. And there's also a significant part of our companies that have people with military experience on their teams. So it's really great to see that there's other tie-in with the DoD. So I really encourage you all to talk to our couple of entrepreneurs that we have here today. We have Brad Lurie from Bright Light Systems and Jordan Little from Spider 9, and they'll be talking to you right after I do here. But I'd love to answer any questions about what we're doing with our program and anything else. And also to let you know, our applications are now open. We run applications once a year, and so we're selecting companies for our next year's cohort, our 2016 cohort. And they will be open until July 2nd. So if you know of any great entrepreneurs or really cool technologies that you think would be neat to see in Hawaii, feel free to refer them to our website.
Jill, is that just open to Hawaiian companies, or it's just the execution has to be in Hawaii?
That's a really good question. So we accept applications worldwide. Because it's federal funding, we do require that any international applicants have a U.S. entity in place. And the projects that we do are primarily within Hawaii, but we actually are within the Asia-Pacific region, so we're looking to expand. And this year we're actually planning to do our first project in Australia, which is with Bright Light Systems.
Are there similar programs that cover other parts of the United States, or?
Another really good question. There's a number of other accelerator and incubator programs, but none that deploy grant funding in the model that we use. About half of our companies are on our demonstration track, which is where we supply them the project funding to do the demonstration projects and really implement their technology with customers. So the other accelerator programs typically focus more on business development or customer strategic partnerships, and there are definitely some like Clean Tech Open or the LA Clean Tech Incubator who really work with the energy companies specifically.
When I was looking at the technologies that you had up in the beginning, I wasn't sure that I could figure whether or not a particular technology fit in there. The largest single, I know, military characteristic that gets consumed is energy for environmental control units, air conditioning. 80% of the electricity is generated in Iraq and Afghanistan goes to air conditioners.
Mm-hmm.
In the Pacific, your your problem with water is you got the wrong type. You got a lot of salt water. You don't have a lot of clean water, but you still have a lot of water. Water is a great thermal sink, or as are wet ground. Are you looking at or any of those companies looking at the ability to use geothermal specifically for the energy issues that you may be encountering?
We aren't looking at many geothermal technologies. They're definitely welcome to apply. A lot of the technologies that we see require project funding that's magnitudes greater than what we can provide. They're definitely welcome to apply to the program. We have a number of application topic areas that we solicit, and so this year I think we're going to have another couple focuses on water and cybersecurity. But then we always have an other topic because we don't want to miss any great ideas that are out there. So if someone has a really great idea around geothermal, we would definitely be open to looking at it.
Hi, Jackie Space from BM&T Partners. Again, question on the technology readiness levels for the companies that want to apply to your program. It's in the middle, somewhere in the 4 or 5 range?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We actually operate a dual track program. So we have one track that's called the go-to-market track. The other track is the demonstration track. Demonstration track, we'd like to see companies that have some customer traction. So that's typically ones that are a little bit further than that in the TRL level. The go-to-market companies we accept can be anywhere from very early up until a little bit of customer traction or even significant customer traction, but not necessarily here in Hawaii. And what we do with our go-to-market program is support them through a 6 to 9 month program with just $75,000 of funding to really do the customer discovery and work that they need to set themselves up to implement their solution in Hawaii. So we actually work with a large range of companies. The one requirement that we do have is that the companies have a prototype in place prior to applying.
And then do you have the VCs lined up when you bring in a company into your portfolio that are attracted to that company, or do you work with them and then bring the VCs in?
We actually have a pretty large network of VCs, angels, and we've put a lot of focus in the last about year and a half on strategics, corporate strategics, because that's where a lot of the companies can find a lot of value. So we already have a lot of people lined up. Oftentimes there's a fit with them. If there's others that are needed to make us more effective, we can continue seeking folks out and are always working to make our network better.
Great. Okay, thank you.